You're listening to the Cruise Tips TV Unplugged podcast. This is the first in a 2-week series on Norwegian Aqua. Welcome to Cruise Tips TV Unplugged. I'm your host, Sherry, and we invite you to join our cruise-loving family as we travel the world creating cruise videos and vlogs. In this podcast, we talk tips, tactics, and strategies to help you make every cruise your dream cruise.
Yay. You know why I'm excited?
Because I'm home?
Yeah.
Yay. It was too long to be gone. 2 weeks is way too long to be gone.
That sounded kind of strange though, didn't it?
What? Then you said yay? That was cute.
Well, the reason is it's been so long since we've done one. I'm like,
I know.
What do I do here? Oh yeah, say something into the mic.
That's your job. Say something into the mic.
Yeah. So you're back from Aqua. You went without me.
Yes, I went without you. I went alone.
Hey, a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do.
That's right. We got, home responsibilities, and we had to break up the team to do this one, and it was an amazing experience. For those of you who don't know, I went on back-to-back press trips on Norwegian Aqua. So the first one was a 5-night press trip out of Lisbon, Portugal, of all places. And then the second one was a 3-night press trip, with mostly British travel agents and media, round trip Southampton.
Did you practice your British accent?
I did. I especially did when we experienced a bit of weather.
So you fit right in?
Yes.
And everyone bought it?
No, Emma teased me is what happened. All the British people teased. No, I did for about 2 seconds. I practiced my British accent. That was it though.
Okay.
It was great though. So much fun.
Well, we'll continue doing it at home.
You practicing my British accent? All I can say is a bit of weather. Well, we did experience a bit of weather, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about that because it was absolutely crazy. For those of you who don't know, Norwegian Aqua is Norwegian Cruise Line's newest ship. It's the newest cruise ship in the world. At the moment, there's another one coming in right behind it, but we're not going to talk about that today. And basically what you need to know about Norwegian Aqua is it is the first in what's called the Prima Plus class ship. So Norwegian created 2 cruise ships not too long ago called Prima and Viva, and those are the Prima class ships. And they really had to listen to people's feedback on those ships because there were some strong opinions on those ships. And so they said, okay, we hear you. And on Aqua, we're going to fix what's bothering people, which was space in certain venues that were very popular. And at the overall size of the ship, they needed to make some things bigger. And so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the kind of the increase in size. We're also going to talk about my pre-cruise experience. We're going to talk about my favorite places on the ship. And then this week, we're going to talk about activities. But next week, we're going to talk about 3 specific things. We're going to talk about food, entertainment, and my experience in the Haven, because for the first time in my cruising life, I got to stay in the Haven for 3 nights on my second leg of that journey, and I really think that deserves a part of its own show.
Yeah,
so,
I didn't
get to enjoy that. I know.
Yeah. And you have to know she was sending me pictures all the time about, look how great this is.
I know.
Look at me relaxing here. It's great.
Sorry.
No, you talked about the size. So it's supposed to be like 36% bigger.
It's 10% bigger, 75 feet bigger.
So
I don't know where you got 36%, but it's 10% bigger.
Well, I didn't get to go. So
I love this. This is great.
So I have to make things up.
You have to make things up.
I don't know where I got it.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. We'll talk about the size though. I think some people would say it feels 36% bigger.
Maybe it's the way I'm wording it. It says with up to 36% more space per guest.
Oh yeah, and that's actually probably true because of the fact that if you add 75 feet to a cruise ship, that is probably accurate.
Okay.
So yeah, totally. 10% bigger could mean 36% more space.
The bottom line is that it felt
noticeably bigger.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
Mm-hmm, exactly. Well, then let's talk about that right now. Let's talk about the size part because you brought that up. And friends, if you want to see this in a YouTube video, it's coming. I'm working as fast as I can. So what happened is when I left Aqua. I actually flew to California to attend a celebration of life for a family member, and then flew home. And so I'm cramming in as much as I can into these few days before I leave for Miami for the Sea Trade Cruise Global Conference. So what you can look forward to from us is I'm going to do a review video on the ship that I think is going to go up pretty soon. So we're going to work on that, right? Give me a couple days and I'll try to get that done. Then please go over to the Norwegian Cruise Line channel, because Norwegian actually enlisted my help in creating 3 YouTube videos for their channel. So over there, the first video that I believe you're going to see go live is the 10 things you just got to know about the ship. So those must know tips. If you haven't been on Aqua, this is what you got to start with. This is what you have to know. But YouTube stuff is coming. So lots of short form content already on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram if you want the sneak peeks. So we're going to talk about the size, right? Is that where we left off?
Size.
Okay, so 10% larger means what they did is they basically added a couple big blocks to what was Prima and Viva, and they made it 75 feet longer. Now, if you think about 75 feet, that's actually an enormous amount more space to be distributed over a ship. So where do you feel that space? Well, people, first of all, said, we want you to make the pool feel bigger. Because they had a 3-level go-kart track on the last ship, that took up a lot of that outdoor beautiful space, right? So the pool feels notably bigger. The stadium, where you have like foosball, shuffleboard, and some outdoor games, also feels bigger. Then they expanded the Commodore dining room, and there's more lounge area and atrium space. I'm giving you guys just a couple of examples. Oh, also Hasuki. The teppanyaki is absolutely enormous. You've never seen anything bigger. It's just fabulously big. So yeah, those are the main areas that you're going to see bigger. And the pool area is very luxurious. Oh, and Vibe Beach Club, also much bigger.
Before we get too far away from it, the racetrack.
Gone.
What is your personal opinion about that?
My personal opinion
is it worth removing for the extra space?
For the space alone, for the Aqua slide coaster, I think it was time for a change for them. I think they have the go-karts on enough ships.
Agreed.
So I love the go-karts, but you're maybe not worth it for this ship. Aqua has a different vibe. It has a kind of an elevated vibe, and the Aqua slide coaster does match it, right? Kind of that outdoor fun. It's going to be in Miami. It's going to be, it's going to be in Florida doing Caribbean runs. So I think it's something different, and to totally reinvent a concept and put it on a ship, I think this ship earned that right to have the Aqua slide coaster. So worth it. Okay. Yeah, worth getting rid of the 3-level race car. Although I personally love the go-karts.
And that's why I asked.
Yeah, I do. But I don't think they need it on every ship.
Got it.
Right? If I want to go and do go-karts, I can go on many other ships. Bliss, Encore, right? Prima Viva. There's other options. So good stuff. Another thing I need to mention to you guys is I personally had not sailed on Prima and Viva, so I had to rely on other people who were on this trip with me to tell me how it was better. Everyone I talked to said, okay, wow, yeah, we feel it. The second you walk on the ship, it feels so much bigger. So from experienced folks who are, very much Norwegian loyalists, they all said that it was pretty darn awesome. So I want to back up a little bit, start from the beginning, because there's a bit of a story to tell here, friends, with my trip. And I know some of you want just the facts and others kind of like to hear the story. So I flew from Dallas to Philly and then Philly to Lisbon. And when I got into Lisbon, it was very evident that there was a bad weather pattern forming. There was some severe rain. And what ended up developing is that while I was staying at my pre-cruise hotel, which by the way was the Intercontinental Lisbon, fabulous if anyone is going to Lisbon. It is not at the waterfront, but it is in a great downtown location and has an excellent on-site restaurant, the best beds I've ever slept in, and just a wonderful place. Anyhow, got checked into the hotel, got there very early, paid €100 to check in super early because it was like 11 when I got to my hotel and I was tired. I just wanted to take a shower and like crawl in bed for a very quick nap, right? Weather got really bad, so bad that during my stay in Lisbon for, that next 36 hours or so, I did not even walk outside, you guys. It was pouring rain, sideways rain with wind. There was nothing I could have done to see Lisbon other than get in a taxi cab and see rain. So I have now officially been to Lisbon and experienced nothing, which is sad, but these things happen sometimes. Our embarkation on the ship ended up being delayed. We were supposed to get on at like 10 a.m. and we got word that morning, do not come to the port. The ship has been delayed due to bad weather. Turns out they had, as they were bringing Aqua into Lisbon, they had encountered extreme weather. And the port of Lisbon closed. Literally, we got word the morning we were supposed to get on the ship. We don't know what's going to happen. The port is completely closed. So we all just stayed in our hotels, our respective hotels, got late checkouts where we could, and just kind of relaxed, right? Most of us started getting some work done and we just waited for text messages and word. Finally, around 3, 4 in the afternoon, people started heading down there. Ultimately, I didn't end up getting on the ship until about 7 p.m. just because of the lines at the pier and the sideways weather and the rain and everything. And it was crazy, you guys. The first videos and photos I have of poor Aqua from the outside in the port of Lisbon, it was dark and it was wet and it was gray, and it's just nothing like you would hope those first pictures to be. So when you see our YouTube content, you'll kind of get an idea for how gray and awful it was. So we all get on the ship and we're thinking, gosh, the weather is still really bad. You know, we all just checked out our rooms, grabbed some dinner. I grabbed a buffet dinner because it was so late, and kind of just looked at my room and got comfortable a little bit with the ship. But then we woke up the next morning and got a letter in our stateroom saying, hey, we're not going anywhere. We're going to stay right alongside this dock in Lisbon because, guys, the weather is so bad. And we did. We stayed there for 2 full days, maybe more like, I think it was more like, might have been closer to 3 days. But then we finally had to pull away and make our way to Southampton to pick up the next guests. And during that first night, you guys, when we left Portugal, we had the roughest weather I have ever experienced on a cruise ship. Now, this leads me to needing to tell you all about my stateroom. I was in a forward-facing stateroom, meaning like not only was it at the front of the ship, it was on the front of the ship, meaning like when I stepped onto my balcony, I was looking straight forward. I could look up to the left and look at the bridge. And if I looked to the right, I could see just ocean straight in front of me, which means you not only get more motion, but you get wind. Now, this cabin would be fantastic if you were in the Caribbean, because you could walk out on your balcony in the morning for sail-ins and see right in front of you, see what the captain at the bridge is seeing right above you. But in the case of high winds and weather, I had a sleepless night where I was actually scared. I've never really been scared on a cruise ship before, but this was the kind of thing where we had up to 24-foot swells. You would go, the front of the ship would crest the top of a wave, and then it would sit at the top, and then you'd sort of fall down instead of rocking down. And I had that sensation of going over that top hill of a roller coaster, that moment when you drop and your stomach, you kind of like, you feel like your stomach goes into your throat. Every single wave, you guys, was like that. I slept in the middle of the bed because I was afraid to roll out. It was wild. So it got a little better. And as we were making our way to Southampton, once we got into the channel, it got much calmer, and we did have one beautiful kind of sunny day. But it was actually fun to be alongside in Portugal. A lot of people got off the ship and explored, even though it was raining every day. I decided not to do that, not to explore Portugal, because my mission on this trip, especially without you being there, Mr. CruiseTipsTV, was to get as much footage as I could by myself. And being me with one camera and one me, I decided that sightseeing was not in my future for this trip. And also, it was pouring rain and yucky the whole time. So Lisbon, I will be back. You are a beautiful city, and the food that I did have there though was really fantastic, and I'd love to just experience that. So once the sun came out, we started getting to experience the ship. And I want to talk to you guys about some of my favorite places on the ship. We talked about the size, but let's talk about some of the spots that just blew me away. And again, I'm not going to go so much into food and entertainment and the Haven. I'm going to talk about other things. And then next week, we'll go into details on other stuff. But one of my favorite spots is Infinity Beach. And Infinity Beach is this spot I think it's on deck 8 on both sides of the ship, where they actually built infinity pools. So in addition to the regular pool deck, they have these really plush seating areas and loungers, and they have infinity pools that look off the side of the ship. So you don't have to be sailing in the haven to get access to these extra pools. You might have to get there early if the ship is full to get a nice seat, but it is so pretty and such a vibe. And there was all of this sort of outdoor loungy seating all over the ship that was unlike anything I've seen before. I think the closest I've ever seen to such luxurious outdoor seating is probably Sun Princess, or maybe even Virgin Voyages has this kind of like very adult, nice, cushiony, expensive furniture just everywhere outside. And it was such a treat to feel like it was more of a premium experience on Aqua. And if you go on this ship, you're definitely going to feel that way. So Infinity Beach is great. Now, if you're a Vibe Beach Club fan, Vibe Beach Club is an upcharge experience where you get to go and hang out in an adults only kind of elevated hot tub, lounge, and bar area. And they really outdid themselves on vibe on this ship. It's much bigger. The bar is really pretty. It has 2 hot tubs that are kind of, over the side of the ship, or sort of infinity style up against the side of the ship. And then just all kinds of plush seating in the middle of Vibe. So if you're a Vibe enthusiast, it's probably going to be easier to get a Vibe Beach Club pass for your voyage. And it's just great. Also, since I'm new to the Prima and Prima Plus class ships, I had never seen their theaters, and they have these 3-level theaters that transform into other types of venues. In this case, they call it the Aqua Theater, and at night it can transform into a 3-level theater with all seating. So imagine seating on deck 6, 7, and 8. They can take deck 6 and they can move all of the seats, kind of almost like bleachers that you would see at a stadium, but really fancy, cozy seating, fancy bleachers. And they push them back into the bottom of deck 7, and it just becomes this huge dance floor that's like an extension of the stage. So what that did, as you're going to learn about next week when we talk about entertainment, like the Prince show and the crazy, sexy, cool 90s party, all that stuff, is you get to be on the floor of the theater, which is just unusual for a cruise ship. You get to feel like you're down there by where the entertainers are. And I've got to say, I love the Aqua Theater. I think it's so cool, and it really makes for a unique experience. Also, the stages move on this ship. You should see for the Revolution show, for the Prince show, we'll talk about it next week, how much that stage moves around. It's just absolutely fascinating. So we talked a little bit about my stateroom, right? I stayed in what's called a club balcony suite. It was a forward-facing, it's basically just a balcony room with a very, very large balcony or veranda. But the thing is, you guys, the room itself is actually a little smaller than a standard balcony cabin. So I saw standard balcony cabins. I even saw a family balcony cabin, and they were bigger. So what that means in this room is that you actually don't have a lot of space to move along the side of the bed. So you're giving up a little cabin space by the bed to have a bigger balcony. You still have a vanity and a sofa and a really big bathroom. No bathtub, by the way. You guys know how I feel about that. I feel like it's not a suite if it doesn't have a bathtub, but that's okay. But I don't know what the real perks were for the club balcony suite. I think that robes were the only thing I really noticed that made it a suite.
So on the topic of cabins, I know that Norwegian really is out front in terms of the solo.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
So do they still have the solo inside, the solo ocean view, and the solo balcony? Is it their typical offerings?
Good question. So they have a 2-level studio complex, like a solo complex. And so I got to go in there and see the lounge and everything. But the only cabins that I saw were the studio insides. I will have to check on that. Do you know? Did you look it up, and do you have the deck plan in front of you? Do you know if they have the solo balconies and all that?
Well, I think they do.
You think they do?
I think they do, but since I wasn't on there and I can't verify.
Right. Oh, well, rub it in. Yeah. Just kidding. No, I wasn't there. Can't verify. You're going to have to take me next time. So funny. I'm actually looking it up right now. I think that's a good question. Studio, looking at the deck plans. I'd probably have to look at the deck plans. I can tell you, though, that there's a lot of insides, and that the studio the lounge is really, really cool. And it has like this, the solo area has like a staircase inside where you can move between the two decks, and it just makes it feel extra cool. I'm looking it up on the deck plan though, because that's a really good question. They probably do have something like that. I'm just not sure.
I think they do. And I don't want to derail you too long. I just know that Norwegian it's really like, if not the best, one of the best solo, opportunities for cruisers traveling alone.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. I'm looking. Oh, you know what else was interesting about this? Their Entourage Teen Club was on deck 14. So Splash Academy was like low down on the ship. They've separated the teens and the littles. Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting. It's funny. I wonder if they're taking a page out of,
Who else
now I
is
lost
doing
my train of thought. I was actually thinking of MSC, but now that I think about it, they've got their do re mi on Euribia. They have their do re mi, like it's like a deck down.
Mm-hmm. So actually, you know what? I misspoke. The Splash Academy is actually on 14 and Entourage is on. No, excuse me. Splash Academy is on 15. Entourage is on 14, but they're on separate decks. Is my point. That makes sense.
I know they at least separate some space on MSC like that too. So anyway, another sidetrack that is completely pointless. But
yeah. By the way, if any of you are cruising with children, I did get to see the young kids club. They had the teen club closed on this one because of the fact that they were using it for storage at the time being. But the little kids club is really, really cute. It's going to be great for the littles. I personally, while I'm digging around here on the deck plan for a second, looking for that thing, I think that this ship is better for teens than it is little kids. I think it's probably great for little kids. But if you think about the fact that like the little kids cannot do the Aqua slide coaster, they have to be 48 inches. I feel like you get more into like, once you get into like teen and tween, it's better. Even though they do have the splash pool, they do have a kiddie play area, which is neat. It's really nice. It's just maybe not so much, I don't know, there's not as many water slides for them. I guess I would say they might get some FOMO. So once you get them over 48 inches, whatever age that is, there's so much more for the kids to do.
Well, would there be similar rules for the racetrack? Because I'm kind of seeing the Aqua slide coaster is taking that spot.
Well, yes and no, because remember they can do tandem riding.
True.
So if you're like when Junior was little, when he was under 10 when I took him on Norwegian Bliss, and he was little. So he could have ridden beside me in a double if he, if he wanted to. He got so hooked on the kids club though on that one that he didn't come out. He didn't even do the go-karts. That's how into it he was. So yeah, I'm going to look up the studio thing, you guys, for next week, because what's interesting is that I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing a call out for the studio cabins on the deck plan specifically. So I'm going to have to look a little deeper, but I do know that they have really cool insides, and I'm going to make you guys a short form YouTube, I guess they call it a short.
A thing.
Yes,
a thing.
A piece of video. I'm going to make y'all a piece of video that shows you what the studio cabin's like. They're super cute. I think when you're trying to concentrate on finding something, you just can't.
Yeah,
right?
I derailed you. I did not mean to. I just assumed you would know.
Yeah, I messed up and I can't find it. I'm finding like all the things I thought were in that area. Like I'm finding the spa, then the Splash Academy and the Entourage, but they're all in the space that I thought I was going to see that. So we talked about that cabin. Probably if you're going to the Caribbean and you want a forward facing cabin and you're okay with it sometimes getting windy up there when you're underway, it's a cool one. If you're going anywhere with rough seas, friends, don't get a forward cabin at all, just regardless of what it was. But there's really nice accommodations. The only thing I didn't care for about my room is it didn't have a bathtub. And if you put the word suite next to something, I would love for it to have a bathtub. But that did not happen. And it also didn't happen in the Haven. And all of the accommodations in the Haven are suites, but there was no bathtub. So I think it's just a wave of the future. MSC does the same. They don't put many bathtubs. And honestly, Oceania didn't have bathtubs either. And those are luxury cruises. So food for thought. So I think it's time to shift gears and talk about activities. So far we've talked about my boarding experience, how the ship is bigger. We've talked about my favorite places. And now I want to talk about the stuff there is to do on this ship, because this is crazy. And again, we're going to talk about the entertainment, like the shows next week. But let's start with the Aqua slide coaster. What this is, you guys, if you haven't heard about it, it's a cross between a roller coaster and a water slide. And it really is just that. So you have to be 48 inches to ride. The weight limit is 300 for a single rider. Or if you want to put 2 people in the raft, the total combined weight is 400 pounds. Okay. So 2 people, 400 pounds in one raft, or 1 person in one raft, max 300. Okay. So do you get wet is another question, right? Because it's a hybrid between a roller coaster and a water slide. The answer is yes. You will get somewhat wet. You'll probably get a little bit splashed at the end when you come down and you go into the water. You don't start in the water. You start on what feels like a roller coaster, right? You start on what looks like a grocery store conveyor belt where your groceries go, like up a ramp. But when you end the ride, you're put into a pool just like you would come out on any water slide. And there are holes in the bottom of your raft. So your tush at least is going to get wet, and you're probably going to get a little splashed. With that said, there were lots of people, because it was so cold in Europe, you guys. This is really funny. There were tons of people who were wearing like a swimsuit bottom, and then they would wear like a sweatshirt on the top to stay warm. What I did is I wore a swimsuit, and then I had taken a swim cover up with me. My plan was to take it off. And I decided at the last minute, I ain't taking off my swim cover up. And I just left it on. And I'm really glad I did, because it was chilly and I didn't really want to be making videos in my swimsuit in freezing cold weather. It just didn't fit. But you can kind of wear what you want. I probably wouldn't wear shorts. I would wear like your swimwear on the bottom. And if you want to stay a little warmer on the top, fine. Maybe a rash guard. So you get into your raft. The raft moves forward on a conveyor belt. The conveyor belt puts you up a few feet, and then you stop. And then suddenly you hear the whir of some engines behind you. It goes like with an escalating whir. And then dual mechanical arms come up behind you. They lock into the back of your raft, and they propel you at a very high speed up a ramp. The arms stop when they get to the water slide tunnel. Then you and your raft propel without the arms into the tunnel. And this slide winds around forever and ever. It is one of the longest rides I've ever been on a cruise ship. It may be the longest. You just keep going and going. It covers so much territory. So if you have to wait in a little line, I'd say it's worth it. It's kind of nice. So that's a slide coaster. Ton of fun. Highly recommend it. There were some glitches with it when I was on. They were definitely still testing it, but I hope that they can keep it open consistently for people without a lot of closed down time, because my understanding is that it can move guests through really fast. So whereas the go-karts only accommodated a certain number of people, like a limited number of people per hour, this one can accommodate 200 riders per hour, the Aqua slide coaster. That's a good amount. So 200 people per hour can go on it if it's operating fully and everything's cool. So I'm sure that there can be weather things that make it so that you cannot go on it, guys. If you've got high winds, forget it. They're going to close it. If you've got rocky seas, of course they're going to close it. So maybe take advantage of it on one of your port days.
Same for the racetrack, though.
Same for the racetrack.
Because
anything.
I've never even been on it, because both times I tried to get on, they closed it down. I was actually waiting in line.
Yeah.
And they closed it down.
Closed it down.
Of the weather.
You did. You were right up there. You had your helmet on. You were so close to the...
On.
Dang it.
I was ready.
You were ready. So let's talk about the next cool thing, which is the glow court. This is brand new. This is what looks like a basketball court. It's perched at the very highest deck of the ship. I think it's like maybe deck 19. It's like the only thing on the very top deck. You look at the deck plan and you pick the highest deck up, and the only thing there is the glow court. So it's deck 20. So located on deck 20 and surrounded by the Aqua slide coaster. So all around you, you're going to see the 2 tunnels, right? You have kind of like an aqua tunnel and a blue tunnel, and those are up there, but otherwise it's the only thing. What it is, it's like an interactive sports complex. So when you go in there, you get to there's a screen right outside and you get to take your pick of what types of games you want to play. You can do soccer type games, basketball type games. So with a soccer ball, with a basketball, or you can do things that are stomp. So you can then, the LED floor lights up and you stomp on it with your buddy. LED. It is.
I know.
It is LED.
I'm helping you.
LED. He was having a hard time saying it.
LED.
The
It
LED,
looks
it's
cool.
really cool. Good exercise too, you guys.
It seems like it might be the precursor to the holodeck.
Ooh, a holodeck.
If you know what that is. For all you
that?
Star Trek nerds out there.
Yeah.
Yes. Because it looks pretty cool. It looks fun. I imagine it's going to be really popular.
Yeah, I think so too. I loved it. We took some video of people playing in there. I ran out of time, and every time I went up, it wasn't open because of the weather. So once it finally opened, I was like, oh, I'm over it. I'm just going to film people doing it. But I think Junior and I are going to love it. By the way, friends, if you didn't know this, we're going back on Aqua for the christening in April. So I get to experience it with my teen son. And I got to tell you, I have never been more excited about an inaugural cruise or a christening, because seeing it through his eyes is going to be really neat. This ship is made for teens. It's also a fantastic adult ship, though, by the way. Really nice dining options and a lot going on. Okay, so Glowcore, I think we've kind of knocked that out, right? People get it. The drop, not a new thing. They had the drop on the previous iterations of Norwegian ships. It's a dry slide. So it's a dry drop slide. If you are familiar with those type where you step in and then the floor drops out from under you, it's one of those, but it's a little bit less nausea inducing. I can vouch for that because I hate drop slides. This one did not bother me at all. Someone that I was cruising with talked me into trying it. I told her, I was like, look, I do not like that feeling. She said, oh, don't worry. It actually, when you come out, you're kind of almost on your back immediately instead of being, what's the word? Instead of there being nothing under you. If you've done Perfect Day at Coco Key, you know the 2 drop water slides they have. For a moment, when the floor drops out from under you, you are not attached to the slide in any way. You are falling. This slide does not have that sensation. It immediately puts you onto the slide. Even though it is a vertical drop, it's less disturbing for those of you who are afraid of these types of slides. So you'll see that if you watch my short on it. But you crawl into it. They basically wrap you in a little... it's basically like a blanket that protects you from the slide. Yeah, a mat that has 2 handles. What you do is you cross your arms in front of you and you hold onto the handles of the mat. And then the door closes and this really creepy voice comes on and goes, 4, 3, 2. It's awful. It's like you feel like it's your demise coming. And then the floor drops out. Everybody screams. And you make your way around. Here's the hilarious thing about the drop. Okay. So it's a tunnel that goes around the side of the ship, right? There is a small clear window in the tunnel where you can see the rider that basically looks like a cocooned butterfly going through. You look really funny when you're going through. It's not like you're in your swimsuit. But inevitably, everyone who goes to the clear part slows down. Not kind of slow down where you're going to get stuck. You're not going to get stuck on the drop. But they slow down and it looks so anticlimactic. It's like you hear this scream and then you see them like inching their way across the clear part, and it's kind of comical because you're like, wait, that's not fast, but actually it is pretty fast. It's just that one little area. It looks slow. So
it's like the photo op.
It is. It's like slow down a little bit. Like they put like, you know, what are those things you put across the freeway in action adventure movies to get people to stop? Rumble strips. It's like they put a spike strip, rumble strip. Yeah, like you put a little spike strip across there to stop people. But I did not see anyone get stuck and have to be rescued. It could have potentially happened, but it's pretty fast. So that's a fun one. And then the last activity I want to talk about today, and this is going to kind of round out the show, is the stadium. The stadium is something, when I looked at the deck plan, I'm like, what on earth is this stadium? And it's basically like a little sporty complex. So on one side of that deck, they've got the mini golf, which there's a small fee for. I think it's like $5. And on the other side, you've got ping pong tables, a bunch of them. I think there's 4. You've got foosball. You've got shuffleboard. And then you have like some kind of thing that looks like beer pong It's like cup pong. I don't know what it is, but I tried to ask, and you do bounce the ping pong balls into the cup, and it looks really fun. They've got a beanbag toss. They have almost like a table shuffleboard too, where you hit a puck and it goes. So much fun stuff to do up there. So again, a teen or tween is going to be living their best life up in that stadium area, and it's really, really cool. So before we wrap up the show, I do want to talk about, you guys, my departure in London, because I have a tip for you all. If you're wondering how to get from Southampton to London Heathrow, you can take a shuttle. I did. I actually took the Norwegian Cruise Line bus, and it was lovely. They had a restroom on the bus. It was maybe an hour and a half. It was pretty timely. We sat on the bus for a while, but I was still very early to the airport for my flight. But you can actually pre-book a taxi cab at at Southampton to get to Heathrow. You must know which part of the Southampton Cruise Terminal you're coming into, though, because you guys, the Southampton Cruise Terminal is very big. So make sure that you make a note, look at your departure information that the cruise line gives you, regardless of what cruise ship you're on. If you're in Southampton, find out which terminal you're at, and then you can pre-order your taxi by going to a website called aerotaxis-southampton.co.uk, and aerotaxis is spelled AERO. So aerotaxis-southampton.co.uk. Pre-reserve, pre-book your taxi. If you know what time you can get off the ship, the taxi will be waiting there for you. You don't have to take the train. You don't have to take the shuttle, the cruise line shuttle, but I did. So it was great. So yeah, you guys, next week we'll talk about entertainment. We'll talk about the Haven. We're going to talk all about the food, because there's a lot of food and new food and free food on Norwegian Aqua. But I just would love so much to ask you if, when you see our videos come out on the Norwegian Cruise Line channel, if you could go watch them. They're the same videos I'd make for my own channel, but I'd love for you to comment on them so I can personally reply to you, and you can tell me, hey, I listened to your podcast. Here's how I found you. Whatever you want to share, I'd love to respond to you directly on the Norwegian channel. All right.
Cool.
I'm sorry I left you behind, honey.
That's all right.
Friends, thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions about Norwegian Aqua, you know where to find me on social media. You can always DM me, and I'll do my best to get back to you within a week or so. I'll see you next week, and until next time, see you on the high seas. Thanks for listening to Cruise Tips TV Unplugged. If you like our show and want to know more, check us out at CruiseTipsTV.com. You can also find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram by searching Cruise Tips TV. We'd love if you'd leave us a review wherever you're listening to this podcast, subscribe to the show, and tune in next week. Until next time, we'll see you on the high seas.